Well, hi NicNackers, welcome back. So today what I'm going to be doing is canning potatoes. My mom got me 20 pounds of russet potatoes, and when I picked up the corn that I'll be doing later, I picked up a 10-pound bag of white potatoes and a 10-pound bag of red potatoes. So last night what I did was I peeled all 40 pounds and I just mixed them up. I had two more big bowls that I've already canned, but I got, ran out of time, did all that, went to bed last night, and now I'm going to finish up these two bowls. So potatoes, honestly, could not be any easier. I mean, it's so simple. And people will tell you, don't can russets, only can yellows, only can reds. You know what? I'm going to call bull honky on that. I have canned every potato, and russets, while they may not hold up as well to the canning process, they are still edible. They make fantastic mashed potatoes. I heard somebody say the other day that canned potatoes don't make very good mashed potatoes, and I've not had that experience. We mash our potatoes. The texture might be a little different, but you can fry them, you can bake them, you can mash them, you can add them to soups, to stews, you can use them for potato salad. They are very, very versatile. So what I'm doing now, what you can see is simply just filling up my jars with potatoes. And I'm going to get all these done, and then we'll be putting in a teaspoon of salt. I think that the potatoes are better when you season them right from the get-go, because as they can, and you know this if you've ever worked with potatoes suck up a lot of moisture. So they're gonna, that salted water that's in there will soak right into your potatoes, and it's fantastic. So I want to get 7 jars. I'm canning these cold. I ran my pressure canner this morning, and then Becca and I went and ran errands, and I haven't even felt it yet. It's cool. It's not hot to the touch, so it's perfect to add another 7 jars and do another round of canning here. So I don't know what I'm going to do later because I'm working tomorrow, so I don't really have a choice but to get these done today. As well as my corn. I don't know. I think I was a little ambitious with 40 pounds of potatoes, and I got 60 ears of corn. So we'll see if I get it all done. If not, they'll wait for me until my next day off. So let's see. We're up to 5. Potatoes are one of those things that I love having on my shelf. Now last year I did a few, well, more than a few. I think I did 2 batches, so 14 jars of the herbed potatoes. And I didn't really enjoy them, and neither did anybody else. They were, the herbs just get too strong. I think it was thyme that I put in there, and I've mentioned that before. Thyme is just one of those that gets very, very potent in the canning process. So if I was to do that again, I think I would maybe quarter the amount of thyme that I put in the last go round. So now I have 7 jars of potatoes. I may end up needing to remove a potato or add a potato here or there. We'll see as I'm going through, because we're going to go and we're going to do the debubbling process and all of that. So I'm going to add in my teaspoon of salt. You're going to want to make sure that you're using canning salt, or as I have here, the Himalayan pink salt. You just don't want any salt with any of the iodine, no additives in it. So there's that. And I don't know how many jars this is going to fill up, because as I was doing it before, honestly, I was just taking them over to the sink and filling them up. This is all just cold, cold, cold. Cold potatoes, cold jars, cold water. So I'll fill up as many of these as I can with the water that's in the pitcher. And then we'll debubble and get them in the canner. And what I've been doing is turning on the canner to a low heat and letting it get up for about 10 minutes up to that heat. And then I turn it up a little bit more, let it go for about 10 minutes. Then I turn it up a little bit more. And I just slowly work my way up with the heat because I don't want to shock my jars. And that the potatoes seem to handle that very well. So let's see where my water line is here. And that one is good. And even though there's nothing on our rims, we're still going to wipe it down. And for this, I just usually have a damp paper towel. Don't have to do anything fancy with it. All of my potatoes are submerged. Normally, I use my lids, as you guys know, in warm water. I haven't been doing that with this canning round, and they've worked just fine. And the new recommendations are that you don't have to. So I figured, what the heck, I'm doing cold everything else. I'll just do the cold lids too. Let me grab my rings here. There we go. And there's a finished, well, not quite finished, but ready for the canner. So I'll put those in. And I will bring you back once I get all the other 4 done. All right, so we have our jars in the canner. It is cold right now. And all of my things are tightened down. This is nice and level. I'm going to turn my heat on just to a low heat. I'm just going to put it on 3, let it go for 10 minutes, and then I'll bump it up to about a medium, go for 10 minutes, and then 7, and then high. And we'll just slowly work our way up. That seems to work very well for me. If you're doing it and you want to crank it right up to high, hey, it's your kitchen, your rules. You get to do it however you would like to do it. So I just thought I'd show you a jar. This is a jar that I did last night. You can see that the potatoes look very good. You can definitely tell they're russets. They do kind of fall apart a little bit. But you know what? They're still delicious. I mean, you know, just like with ugly chicken, it might not look very pretty, but it still tastes pretty good. So I'm not going to be complaining. So I'm going to let that go. Potatoes in quarts need to go for 40 minutes. So once this gets up to where we have the steady stream of steam coming out for 10 minutes, we'll put the weight on. For me, it's going to be for 15 pounds. And once that starts jiggling, I can start the timer for 40 minutes. And then once that's done, heat comes off. We'll wait about an hour, and then we have freshly canned potatoes. Woo woo! All right, I'll bring you guys back once, whatever I feel like. If I'm putting on the jiggler, if I'm taking it off, whatever. You'll see me again soon. Ooh, can you guys hear that? I don't think you can see it. I don't want to get too close, but I can feel it clear up there. We have our steady stream of steam, and I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. And once that goes off, I can put on the weight. See you soon. Yo, what?
I don't know.
Now it's time to take off the weight. Of course, I'll cut that part out.
No! Keep it in!
All right, so we are to 0 pressure. So now I still take this off very carefully, and you'll hear as I'm taking it off that there's still some tss as you're taking it off. Hear that? We're going to take it off very, very slowly. Some people just rip it right off. I don't. I kind of hold it. And I'll let you guys in on a little canning fail that I just had. For some odd reason, my pressure changed in the canner while I was canning, and I did not realize that I dropped down below the 15 pounds of pressure for a while. So I was about 15 minutes in, and I had to start my processing time all over again. That was a bummer. So if it happens. It's my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I was off watching TV and texting and emailing and doing all this other stuff and got sidetracked, and I was not paying attention. So let that be a lesson for you guys. Pay attention to the jiggle, and that's what I go by, not the gauge, even though I showed you, I zoomed in on the gauge. It's the jiggling. But I got up here and I was like, it's been a long time since I've heard that jiggle, and has to jiggle at least once every minute, or you need to start all over again. So I started it all over, and it made the process longer, but I know that what's going to come out of here is going to be safe. So anyway, that being said, I am going to set my timer now for 10 minutes. And we will just let this kind of acclimate to having the weight off, and then I'll slowly open it, and I'll bring you guys back for that process. All right, 10 minutes has lapsed. I'll go ahead and turn that off, and then we can just start to, well, kind of have to work your way around. These are still kind of hot, but as I get some of these taken off, they'll loosen up, and there we go. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this one-handed. Oh, I can. So then what I do is I just set that, see those little hooks right there? Right there. Those normally sit underneath and hold that lid in place through the pressure canning process, along with the screws. But I just lift them up. I set them up on there and just kind of crack the lid just slightly and leave it there for about 10 minutes. And after that's done, that's when I take the lid off and take my jars out. So I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes, and I'll bring you back when I'm bringing them out. So this has been sitting, even longer than 10 minutes, I think, because I get sidetracked, you know. All right, we'll set that down. And, I forgot my, I am not going to try to pick those up without my jar grabbers. So I'm going to grab those and get those out of the canner onto the cooling rack, and I'll show you what they look like when they're nice and bubbly. And there they are. 7 jars fresh out of the canner, and I'll show you these guys from earlier today. You can see that the water level there is a little bit down from the 1-inch mark. You know, I'm not going to fret about that. They're still safe. They're still good. Yeah, some people kind of freak out about it. I know that when I filled them to the correct 1-inch. There's, the air out of the potatoes that kind of takes up some of that room, and the potatoes soak up some of the water. So they are still safe, they are still good, and they are going to be amazing on our shelves this winter time. So I am going to get back into the kitchen and do another load of the potatoes. I think I have one, maybe 1.5 more to go. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Thank you so much. Have a great day.